What's up, everyone? All right, so during this episode, I'm going to talk about one of the biggest challenges of trading with a small account. One of the biggest challenges are the emotions. Trading with a small account mechanically is not any different from trading with a big account. The platform is the same. Pressing the buy and sell button is the same. Obviously, I've got a little less money, but if I have leverage, I can use that to grow the account pretty quickly, as you guys have seen. The biggest challenge is up here, it's in your head. It's the emotional challenge. And that's because when you have a really small account, you've got almost no buffer. One loss can be the end of the account. And so when you have that pressure, that creates stress and anxiety, and that can lead to sort of emotionally impulsive trading, erratic trading behavior, which can all manifest itself in the form of losses. And so what I want to do is I want to share with you some of the tips and tricks that I've used to help become kind of emotionally zen while I'm trading, even with a tiny account. And that's why I want to introduce you to Ted and Diane. Ted and Diane are my trading coaches. I've been working with Ted for almost 10 years, and he's one of the reasons that I was able to become a successful trader. Because when I was getting started, I went through these emotional cycles of having a couple of really big wins, getting overconfident, and then having a couple of really big losses. And so my first 2 years, I was in this constant pattern of 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. And so my account kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Obviously, that's not a sustainable way to trade. I wasn't consistently making money over a long period of time. And so I started working with Ted, and he really helped me get to the root of that behavior and that cycle that I kept going through. And so in this episode, what I want to do is I want to introduce you to Ted and Diane. And I want to share with you a couple of struggles that I'm having right now, even as a veteran trader who's been doing this for a long time, the struggles around trading with a really small account. And what I've done for you guys is I've put a link right in the description where you guys can stream a full session between Ted, Diane, and myself where I talk about some of my motivations of wanting to be a trader: freedom, financial independence, the ability to never have a 9-to-5 job or a boss looking over my shoulder ever again. And then the challenges that come with learning to trade during a period of time when money was really tight, where there was a lot of pressure to succeed quickly, and how that pressure created the negative emotional responses of trading impulsively, erratically, and overly aggressive to the point where I was losing money. I'm hoping that this is really going to be relatable to a lot of you guys who are either right now trading with a small account or who are thinking about trading with a small account. Because if you can get to a place where you can separate, those emotional, that kind of emotional baggage from the account, you'll do so much better. You'll be in a position to actually grow the account really quickly. And you've seen over the last, 10 days as I've been growing this small account, how quickly I've been able to grow it, in spite of the fact that I've had the same emotional fears of, what if I blow up this account? What if I blow it up in front of my entire YouTube audience, in front of all my students? How embarrassing that'll be, how disappointing it'll be. So I've had, I would say, just as much pressure as I had when I was getting started trading, but I had to leave that at the door. Trade the market that I was in, trade the best quality setups, and the results, well, they speak for themselves. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode. I'm going to introduce you to Ted and Diane, and then I want you to click that link right down below to watch the full session where the 3 of us break down some of the common struggles of trading with a tiny account and getting started trading. All right, you guys, as always, questions and comments, leave them below. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and I'll see you for the next episode. What's up, everyone? All right, so what I want to do is I want to talk to you guys today about something that many of you know that I've struggled with over my years as a trader, and I'm sure many of you have as well: the emotions of trading, the big ups, the big downs. And so sitting with me here, this is actually a little bit of a TED Talk because Ted and Diane are sitting here, and Ted runs our FOMO Friday and Mindful Monday. Well, you both do it together. And these sessions that you run for our students, they're really designed to help students deal with the emotional challenges of trading.
Right.
For context, so you guys understand, when I was getting started trading, I was kind of at this period in my life where things were really chaotic, and I was going through a divorce, but before that the marriage wasn't in good shape, and I was trying to learn how to do this new thing, and there was so much pressure on it that if it worked, maybe it would fix everything else. And so the emotional stakes were really high. And as a result, I think I was more apt to make impulsive decisions and feel like I was grasping for straws, and ultimately that led to more mistakes than successes, and I was losing money. But one of the things that you and I really kind of honed in on was that ability to maintain presence of mind while I'm trading. So those of you guys who actively trade, who know what I'm talking about here, with that ability to all of a sudden look back, and be like, what was I thinking in the last 2 hours? I'm down like $3,000-$4,000. How is this possible?
Right.
Like, I've done it again. This is crazy. This is the same thing I've told myself I need to stop doing, and I just went into this tunnel and I did it, and now I've got to sit with the loss. Anytime I would step out of that, hours later, that night or the next day, I'd be like, wow, I really, I wasn't myself. I was so in this place. And so I kind of learned that there's a tipping point where, I can be between the two sides of my brain of total logical reason, sound, calm, cool, collected, and then this emotionally impulsive, primitive, sort of Neanderthal, crazy cowboy trader, but just that really emotional side. And that when those tip to a certain point, this part is gone.
Right.
And I cannot get it back until I way come down out of the situation. But the challenge is kind of like putting a frog in water. It's having the presence that something is changing and being able to step back before you cross.
Before you're right, exactly.
And you guys have helped me with that a lot, Ted especially. And my goal with bringing you guys on to help our students was that I sort of felt like you were my, one of my secret weapons that really helped me get over the learning curve. And I wanted to give our students that same opportunity to have those sessions with you. So maybe you could talk for a second about what it's like for you guys to work with students, to maybe have worked with me over these last almost 10 years.
Right.
And to now be working with some of my students who, you probably see as versions of me,
Yep.
doing a lot of the same things.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing to see just how so many of the same things come up for pretty much everyone who tries to enter into this activity of trading. Mm-hmm. It's like every possible emotion is going to come up. Whether that's, anger, sadness, shame, joy, elation.
Yeah.
You name it.
Yeah.
And anything that you might potentially struggle with, you're going to run into in trading.
Yeah.
There are other activities, other endeavors where maybe there's parts of you that you're not going to have to confront, on the level that trading forces you to. So you really have to know yourself well in order to try to do this and be successful at it.
And a lot of it is, I think, what you highlighted kind of in the beginning, all the things that were going on in your life as you were coming into trading.
Yeah.
But that's so true for so many people.
Yeah.
Is that that the trading that's going to create emotional ups and downs just because the stakes are high when you're trading your money. That's already a big deal. But we have so many other aspects of our lives that can be stressful, and even when it's a positive change that's happening, it can create more emotionality. And that's what can kind of come out during trading, unless you really practice with meeting those emotions, the thoughts, the patterns, all of those parts of you.
So, on that kind of note, this week was the beginning of my small account challenge.
Yep.
And, I've been spending the last 6 weeks really preparing for it. I've done a series of videos about, how to start a small account, all these things that you can do to side hustle, raise money. And so the stakes for me felt really high. I have to succeed. I cannot fail at this on day one. And so on day one, we had a snowstorm.
Mm-hmm.
And in the past, I've been, sort of like, it's so typical for me to overestimate that I'm totally fine. I'm totally fine.
Right.
I can roll with this. Like, yeah, I can trade, at home with the dogs barking and the plow truck and my Wi-Fi dropping off and the lights flickering because it's so much snow.
Right.
And I'm going to just like sail through this.
Right.
And I've watched myself, get off an airplane after a red eye, sit down in front of my laptop, come to the market and trade, and then promptly lose like $5,000.
Right.
And it's like, you were not in the zone. You weren't on your game.
Right.
And yet, I didn't have the presence of mind to acknowledge that.
Right.
And so, for me, this last Monday, I said, you know what? As the bell was about to ring, I was so frazzled that I was just like, all right, I'm just going to step back for a second. I'm just going to watch and see how these things that were on my watch list play out. And both of them kind of did exactly what I thought. They squeezed up, and I was like, I felt FOMO. I felt fear of missing out. I started to feel a little angry. And then I was like, okay, this is just, my emotions are now getting even worse. Mm-hmm. Because I have a short fuse. It's like, the second I see it going up, I'm like, God dang! It's like I'm immediately to 100. And I was like, all right, you know what? If that's my reaction, I'm not in a place where I should trade. As frustrating as this is, every day I come into the market, I need to be my best, self as a trader, and I can't be that today. And so that meant day one, I didn't trade. Mm-hmm. And, I was a little disappointed in some ways because I'd kind of gotten all hyped up that, 1st of December. And then I just traded the next day and had a great day and a really good start to the challenge. I was in my office, I was in the zone, it was quiet, and everything was perfect. But, me of 10 years ago, me when I was getting started, I wouldn't have had that, I didn't have that presence of self. Even a few years ago, and even still, I sometimes lose it. I sometimes, I guess that's the challenge. It's not like once you have it forever, like this shirt,
You're still a human being.
Right.
And I think that's the thing that a lot of you guys on YouTube, I've seen over the years, sort of the comments of, Ross, I see you make the same mistake again. And here we are, you're down $5,000.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? Why won't you get better? Why won't you stop doing that? And it's not to, say that during that period I haven't made a lot of money, but it's like every 4 weeks or every 6 weeks or every 8 weeks or whatever it is, I'll have that one day where just things go wrong. And so, maybe you could speak a little bit to why that pattern keeps kind of coming back out.
Well, because these emotions are always going to be present. Mm-hmm. These patterns, these reactions, the ones that develop within us are always going to be a part of us.
Yeah.
It's all about the relationship we are having with them. Mm-hmm. So just, as any relationship we might be in, we don't just set it in one place and then it permanently stays there. Mm-hmm. It's always evolving. It's always moving. Mm-hmm. It's moving from one stage to another, back and forth from, one mode to another. And it needs our attention. It needs our care. It needs our cultivation. That's what it means to stay present with ourselves and to have a relationship with ourselves.
And it's in the face of changing stimuli all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, all different aspects, large and small, all different aspects of our life are changing every day and in every moment. Yeah. And so there is a way that things can sneak up on us. We can be caught off guard and fall into an old pattern.
Yeah.
And a common mistake that people make is, if I could just, cut out all of these emotions and trade logically, I would be fine. Mm-hmm. But the emotions are not going to play along with that. Mm-hmm. And the more we try to do that, the more we try to wall them off, they tend to, pressurize, behind the scenes. Mm. So what is actually required is for us to be in a state of relationship with all of those emotions. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like you were saying earlier, like one of the most dangerous states you can be in is the one where you think, oh, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Because then you don't really know, okay, what am I actually feeling?
Right.
How did that flight affect me?
Right.
Slowing down, taking that time to really ask, to really notice, okay, this is what's here.
Yeah.
And it's through that acceptance, there's like this paradox is, the emotions will, once we acknowledge them
Mm-hmm.
and meet them with some kindness,
Mm-hmm.
they tend to calm down.
Mm-hmm.
They're not as intense.
Mm-hmm.
And as we learn to let it be okay that they're there, then we have a much better chance of staying grounded, staying centered, and making good decisions.
Yeah, yeah. So for me, getting to a place where I have a strong enough presence of mind on most days to be able to make that decision of today's a day I trade, or today's a day I don't trade, or this is the point where I need to stop trading for today, because I'm near that tipping point where, if I keep going down this road, it's going to get worse. The ability to get there is kind of like, Zen trading.
Yep.
It's like that next level of trading. But if, you think of this as a marathon, which is that, it's not about making $1 million in 2 or 3 months or years or whatever. It's about doing this for potentially the next 5, 10, 15 years or longer, that the individual days no longer have as much significance. And so if you just say, okay, these are my thresholds that when I cross it, I'm done for the day, I step back, and you can have the presence of mind to do it, you've got that marathon mindset. And the ability to really gain that is part of a daily practice, a daily routine, my morning routine, my actual trading routine that sort of has these elements of keeping myself focused and things that I do to make sure I'm within my boundaries. And then my sort of post-trading routine where I break down what happened today, what worked, what didn't work, so I can have that, awareness of, was I really in line today? Let's say I made money, but I broke some rules. Is this really a victory? Is this really a good day? Or is this a day that, I really shouldn't be patting myself on the back? My goal for you guys would be, that by working with, especially for those of you guys who are students, by working with Ted and Diane, and by being part of our classes, that you're able to start to develop the presence of mind, so you can get to this similar sort of place that I'm at. It's, the journey of becoming a successful trader. It's certainly, learning how to trade. It's learning the terminology, but it's also having the mindset of a successful trader. So what I want you guys to do, I'm going to put a link right down below in the description, and I want you guys to click on it. It's going to be a link to a session that the 3 of us are going to have. So it's a session that we're going to have that's really going to break down one of the biggest challenges that I continue to have as a trader. So if you guys want to watch that session, sit in on it, click that link below, and we'll see you there. All right, thanks for watching, guys. If you want to learn more about trading? Check out some of the links in my description, and if you have questions, ask them in the comments. I personally respond to every question posted on my channel. And don't forget to subscribe.